The environment includes all surroundings of living organisms, both living and non-living. It has two components, abiotic and biotic. Abiotic includes air, water, and land. Biotic includes plants, animals, and microbes. Humans depend on the environment for resources. Conservation is the wise use of these resources. In ecology, there are different levels of organization. Each level in this organization represents its own characteristic nature and functions. These levels range from species to biosphere. 1. Species. Species are groups of similar organisms that can interbreed to produce fertile offspring. Members of the same species have the same needs, such as food and shelter, and therefore they compete with one another for their needs. 2. Population. Population can be defined as a group of individuals belonging to the same species, living in the same place at the same time, and sharing the same resources. For example, the population of rabbits in a jungle, or the population of humans in a city at a particular time. When different populations live together in interaction with one another in a specific area, it's called a community. For example, forest community, desert community, and so on. The community, along with its non-living environment, is called an ecosystem. It is the basic structural and functional unit of ecology. An ecosystem is a self-sufficient unit of the environment. Only light comes from outside. Examples include marine ecosystems, tropical rainforest ecosystems, etc. A biome is a regional, biogeographical unit of life on Earth. A biome has a similar climate, so similar types of plants and animals live in it. The major biomes of the world are tundra, forest, grassland, desert, and freshwater biomes, among others. The parts of the Earth where life exists is called the Biosphere. It is the largest ecological level, containing all ecosystems. Environment is the living place of an organism along with its surroundings. Environment includes everything that may affect an organism in a direct or indirect way. It includes soil, water, air, temperature, plants, animals, etc. Habitat is a specific locality with a particular set of environmental conditions where an organism lives. Freshwater, streams, and rivers form the habitat of fish. Trees form a habitat for a large variety of birds and animals, and a rotten log forms a habitat for insects, fungi, and microorganisms. Niche is the role and position a species has in its environment. That is, how it meets its needs for food and shelter, how it survives, reproduces, and interacts with other species. An ecosystem is a community of living organisms in conjunction with the non-living components of their environment, interacting as a system. Ecosystems can be as large as a forest or as small as a pond, and they play a crucial role in maintaining the balance of nature. An ecosystem consists of both abiotic components and biotic components. Both these components are equally important for the proper functioning of the ecosystem. Abiotic components of ecosystem. The major abiotic components of an ecosystem include water, light, fire, atmosphere, temperature, gravity, inorganic nutrients, soil, and topography. Light. Light is the ultimate source of energy on this earth. It is the only component which comes from outside. Light influences the growth and distribution of living organisms. Plants utilize sunlight during photosynthesis and prepare food. Water. Water is a sign of life. Water covers more than 70% of the surface of Earth and acts as a universal solvent. It dissolves minerals in the soil, which are then taken by plants. Water is one of the raw materials of photosynthesis. Temperature. Temperature is a limiting factor. It has a great effect on the growth, function, and distribution of organisms. The range of temperature for the activity of life lies between 10 degrees Celsius to 45 degrees Celsius. Atmosphere and wind. The term atmosphere is derived from two Greek words, atmos meaning vapor and spheria meaning ball or sphere. It refers to the gaseous reservoir that surrounds the Earth. the atmosphere contains 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 0.9% argon, and 0.04% carbon dioxide. Nitrogen is used for building proteins, oxygen is required for respiration, and carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. A fire. Fire is the hot, bright flames produced by things that are burning. It brings about sudden changes in the ecosystem. Human activity and lightning are common causes of fire. Fire transforms dead and dry organic matter into soluble ash and releases many important nutrients for recycling, which help in the growth of new plants. Fire also improves the growth of grasses. Soil. The soil is a mix of organic and inorganic materials on the surface of the earth that provides the medium for plant growth. It contains water and almost all the nutrients required for plants to thrive. Inorganic nutrients. A nutrient is a substance used by an organism to survive, grow, and reproduce. Organisms depend on inorganic nutrients for the maintenance of body function. These include carbon dioxide, oxygen, and compounds of calcium, nitrogen, and phosphorus, among others. Gravity. Gravity acts as an external stimulus on the growth of the roots of plants. Roots grow towards gravity to access nutrients. Birds have adapted some specific features to resist gravity, such as wings and hollow and light bones. Topography. The altitude, steepness, and direction of slope of land is called its topography. It modifies environmental factors such as radiation, temperature, and moisture content. Biotic components of the ecosystem. These are the living components of the ecosystem. They are of three types, namely producers, consumers, and decomposers. Producers, also known as autotrophs, include plants, algae, cyanobacteria, and bacteria. They are able to produce their own food through the process of photosynthesis and are called autotrophs. Green plants and algae are the main producers which use sunlight energy for the synthesis of food. A part of this food is utilized by the plants and algae themselves, while the remaining part is utilized by the consumers and decomposers. Plants are the producers of terrestrial habitats, and algae are the producers of aquatic habitats. Consumers are organisms which get their food from the producers. The consumers are also called heterotrophs. The consumers are of three types, namely primary, secondary, and tertiary consumers. Primary consumers feed directly on producers. The primary consumers in the terrestrial habitat are insects, rabbits, goats, sheep, cows, and so on. In aquatic habitat, the primary consumers are crustaceans, mollusks, and some fishes. Secondary consumers. These are consumers which feed on herbivores, that is, plant eaters, for example, frogs, lizards, and so on. Tertiary consumers, or carnivores. They are the top consumers and get their food from primary consumers and secondary consumers. For example, lions, tigers, hawks, and others. Decomposers. They get their energy by decomposing the dead bodies of animals and plants, for example, bacteria and fungi. The decomposers are also called the cleaners of the ecosystem. They help to run various biogeochemical cycles like the nitrogen cycle and the carbon cycle. In this way, valuable nutrients are recycled for reuse. Interrelationships between different components of the ecosystem. Biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem depend on one another. Plants take nutrients from the soil and carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Then, by using the energy of sunlight, they prepare food for themselves and consumers. When the producers and consumers die, they are converted into simpler substances by the action of decomposers. These substances get mixed with the soil or released into the air. Then, they are used again by plants, and the whole cycle is repeated again and again. So, for the smooth running of an ecosystem, all biotic components interact with each other as well as with the non-living world.